Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. This is the video that looks at the NFL power rankings for this week. Now, us Eagles fans did know if we got that other loss, we probably would drop under the Patriots in terms of rankings from first to second due to quality of schedule. Now, whether you agree with that or not is a different story, but that is how the situation lies. So ESPN has the Patriots, then the Eagles, then the Vikings, then the Rams, then the Steelers, then the Seahawks, then the Saints, then the Jags, and the Panthers, then the Falcons. I think because of the loss, the Falcons could be a little bit high because that again keeps three teams in that division in the standings, or in the rankings, So, part of me thinks that could be a little bit high, but that all obviously is up for interpretation. The Bleacher Report has the same front four in the Pats, Eagles, Vikings, and Rams. Then they put the Saints at 5 from where ESPN has them at 7. They put the Steelers at 6, ESPN has them at 5. Put the Panthers at 7, who are at 9 on ESPN's. Put the Falcons all the way up at 8, which I think is too high. And put the Jags at 9 and the Seahawks at 10. Now, I'm not dissing the Falcons. I love Matt Ryan. He's one of my favorite guys to watch when he's balling. He's not having a good fantasy year this year, which pisses me off because he's on my team. But the Falcons team as a whole has rebounded and had a decent season. It's just the strength of the NFC is a big concern for a 7-5 team. If they were in the AFC, they would be tied with Baltimore for one of the wild card spots. But they're not. The NFC is by far the stronger conference this year, which is concerning for the team like the Falcons. Now, mine is the same in the top 4 from ESPN's because I don't think those ones are very argued with. I think the Pats, because of quality of schedule, have jumped ahead of us for now. If we beat the Rams, being the Eagles should be able to jump back ahead of New England, especially if they lose. The Vikings are 3rd. The Rams are 4th. The Saints are 5th. I put the Steelers 6th. Because of their stellar defense, and we always say defense wins games, and if Fournette can have a good enough offense, and some of the receivers can come back in timely fashion, I actually moved the Jags from 8th to 7th because of their defense. I put the Panthers then at 8th because the Panthers do have Cam Newton, who balls, obviously. So they do have a good team. Christian McCaffrey has changed the whole dynamic of that team, being able to have a mixture of a pound back with a speed back that can run out of the backfield and catch a lot of passes. So that helps. But the big concern is Devin Funchess is really their only really great target as a wide receiver downfield. Their limited offense is their concern. Again, the Panthers have a pretty good defense, so that can stand up and play very well. The other reason I moved the Panthers down is because of the division they're in. The Saints are great, the Panthers are great, and the Falcons, again, are a pretty good team. So they're in the hardest division in football. So one of those teams might get snubbed as a whole, depending how they finish the season. I put the Seahawks at 9. I think 6 is a little high for them because Seattle's front 7 is fantastic. They're still great. They have, obviously, Wagner's a great linebacker too, but the big concern on Seattle's, again, is Russell Wilson's been everything to their offense. So, of course, he stepped up and played great against the Eagles' defense, but in the playoffs, if their defense is not fully intact, how is their secondary going to play in big playoff moments against really good quarterbacks, and especially on the road, because we got to remember that game was at home, and Seattle has one of the best home field advantage, even though they lost a couple games there this year to the Falcons. And Redskins, they still have one of the loudest stadiums that when they get off to a hot start, they're a very hard team to beat. So if they're not at home in the playoffs, that's what concerns me and moves them down there. It doesn't concern me in terms of Russell Wilson at all. Russell Wilson, I think, is one of the best. Statistically, he is one of the best quarterbacks in the league if you look at the past 3 years per passing yard, interception to touchdown ratio, and stuff like that. So I think Wilson is by far good enough to carry them. It's just, is their defense going to be good enough when it comes to tough playoff games on the road without a couple of their big guys back in the secondary? I moved the Tennessee Titans to 10th because they have been very impressive in recent weeks because they have a great front line too. Their front defensive line is stellar. Their secondary is admirable, not great, but Mariota again is been playing better of late. They've been mixing in good running game to the mix of Henry and DeMarco Murray, and they've been overall playing really good of late, and that front seven I really like to go somewhere in the playoffs in the very competitive AFC. I then moved the Falcons. I'll do my 11th because I moved the Falcons to 11th, again, due to their defensive inconsistencies. They definitely don't have one of the best defenses out of these top 10, 11 teams. They're very back and forth on defense. They don't have a bad defense. But one game they look great, one game they just look like the middle of the road defenses. And also, Matt Ryan and Julio and everybody need to play a lot better and air it out like they did last year more towards the end of the season. So this team can, one, get in the playoffs because the very tough NFC, if you only have 2 more wins than losses, you might get snubbed this year. So they need to start playing better to get in for sure and get more yardage per game and get more consistent as a whole, which has been a big problem for the Falcons. Well, those have been comparing ESPN and Bleacher Report's power ranking and then saying my own. This has been Sports Fanatic News. I'm Joe Boric. Have a great day, everyone. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your week. Have a great one. Peace.